because it's really changed my life.
Overcoming a peanut allergy, one nut at a time.
We're keeping your own nerves, your own blood vessels.
A winning ACL procedure for young athletes, and the financial assistance you may be missing out on after a stay in the hospital. Welcome to Eye on Health, where we focus on stories that affect your physical and mental well-being. I'm Bradley Blackburn. We begin with a new weapon in the battle against cancer. This year, more than 2 million people will be diagnosed with the disease. As Dr. John LaPook reports, supercharging a patient's own immune system to treat certain types of cancer is showing promising results.
When a biopsy revealed cancer in Bruce Nollmeyer's left kidney, he braced himself for the worst.
When you were a kid and you heard the word cancer, it scared the daylights out of you.
But Nollmeyer learned his cancer had an unusual genetic trait that made him eligible for an experimental trial at Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center. Over 6 months, he had 9 intravenous treatments to harness his immune system.
They did a CT scan, and they came back and they said they don't see the tumor.
And when you heard that, what did you think?
I couldn't believe it could work that quick, to be honest.
He's part of the study that could fundamentally change the way we treat certain cancers. Here's how it worked. Cancers with a certain mutation are able to put the brakes on our immune system, allowing a tumor to grow. This new treatment is an antibody that releases those brakes so the immune cells can attack the cancer.
Did you ever imagine you'd get this kind of response?
Dr. Andrea Sursek and her team have completed a study in 103 people with various early-stage solid tumors in sites such as the rectum, colon, esophagus, and urinary tract that contain an unusual genetic mutation.
And of those, what percentage did not need any further treatment?
80% of them didn't need any further treatment. So no surgery, no chemo, no radiation, just immunotherapy.
Only 2 to 3% of all early solid tumors have the same mutation targeted in this trial. So the next step for researchers is testing the drug as part of a cocktail of other immunotherapy agents.
The goal really is to try to minimize that toxicity in survivorship and still cure the patients, but without all the toxicity from our treatments.
Dr. John LaPook, CBS News, New York.
More than 7 million Americans live with Alzheimer's disease. According to a new report, more people are willing to join clinical trials to try to fight the disease. Jared Hill has details.
You're next. Greg and Norma Donato play each other in word games every day to keep their brains sharp. Greg was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease 8 years ago. His short-term memory and language have been impacted the most.
My brain doesn't go as fast as it used to be. I know what I want to say, but it doesn't come out right.
The 76-year-old father and grandfather just finished 18 months of an infusion therapy called Leqembi. It targets and removes beta amyloid from the brain in the hopes of slowing the progression of the disease. Greg's tests show improvement.
He's very positive and wanting to try anything.
I want other people to know that there is, there's hope.
A new report from the Alzheimer's Association finds nearly 80% of people surveyed would want to know if they had the disease before having symptoms.
Americans are interested in getting a blood test if and when that becomes available and finding out early. And the reason for this is people want access to treatments. We have new treatments on the market that can slow the progression.
And the report also shows people are willing to accept even high risk to do that.
If they can find out early, they want to do something about it in order to change the course of the disease. Not only with new treatments, but also with lifestyle changes.
We're a team.
Yes.
The couple, married for 54 years, says they have a lot to be grateful for.
I just hope he continues to be blessed with the symptoms staying as mild as possible. I mean, I know what it could become, and I try not to go that place.
My grandchildren, that's the way I live. I live for them.
Thankful for more time to enjoy life. Jared Hill, CBS News, New York.
The American Medical Association says spending on health care has had its biggest jump in 2 decades, with the exception of the pandemic year of 2020. Nonprofit hospitals get a tax exemption for giving low-income patients free or discounted care. But CBS News has found many of those hospitals are now suing patients who can't pay their bills. Usher Qureshi explains.
You are a honeybee.
6 years ago, before starting her family, Alexis Lewis worked 2 jobs to put herself through nursing school. The last thing she needed, a medical bill after a night in the hospital for trouble breathing.
And you didn't have insurance at the time?
No.
How much was it for?
$6,500, I believe.
Did you have the money?
No, of course not.
It shouldn't have mattered because she'd gone to a nonprofit hospital, the University of Tennessee Medical Center in Knoxville. According to its own policy, a single person making less than $52,000 a year, like Lewis, may qualify for financial assistance known as charity care, something she didn't know.
And at no point were you ever told by the hospital that you might be eligible for some sort of financial assistance to pay off this debt?
Never.
After Lewis missed payments and the hospital couldn't contact her, its collection agency sued, and she ended up in this courtroom. A judge ordered deductions from her paychecks go toward her debt. Lewis is not alone. CBS News found in 1 year, more than 400 nonprofit hospitals nationwide used debt collection tactics and lawsuits, trying to collect more than $800 million from patients who should have qualified for charity care.
It is immoral to sue patients who cannot afford their bills as a tax-exempt hospital.
Eli Rushbanks is an attorney for the nonprofit $4, which helps patients access charity care. He says the root of the problem is knowledge. Patients aren't aware financial help exists, so they don't apply for it. He points to many different reasons, including hospital terminology that's confusing to patients.
They don't understand terminology like financial assistance or charity care because those terms don't really mean anything. They think that it's a payment plan or something.
Nonprofits are required to provide that information on paper and online, display it publicly in the hospital, and include it in your bill. It's up to patients to read that information and then apply. But one state's solution puts the onus on hospitals. Oregon requires them to proactively screen all patients and give financial assistance to those who qualify. 6 years later, Alexis Lewis is still paying off her bill, $150 a month. UT Medical Center wouldn't respond to our questions about why she wasn't offered charity care, but says its policies are designed to ensure that eligible patients have access to the care they need. I'm Usher Qureshi, CBS News.
A new study out of the UK is showing how people with a peanut allergy are able to train their bodies to overcome the intolerance. Philippa Roxby with our partners at the BBC has details.
This could have killed Chris not long ago.
The fear kicks in. You know what's coming. You know that you are in for a whole world of pain.
Chris has had a severe allergy to peanuts since he was a child. And 10 years ago, he had his worst reaction after eating a curry.
I have one bite, put my spoon down because I feel tingling, and I'm like, maybe it's the spice, maybe it's something in there, and then within seconds spots start appearing on my lips. That's the first telltale sign. It's like someone's pouring a boiled kettle of water over you for all that time. So I'm writhing, screaming and crying, unable to escape this pain.
The first dose that we gave was 0.8 milligrams, which is infinitesimally small.
Chris took part in this clinical trial. It's the first to test whether adults who are allergic to peanuts can be desensitized.
They were given supplies for 2 weeks wrapped up and then to take home to mix with their meals daily. And then when they were going to go to the next dose, they came into hospital to have that tested with them under medical supervision. And then they carried on again on that higher dose then for another 2 weeks before repeating the cycle, coming back.
By the end of the 9-month trial, 2/3 of the 21 patients could eat up to 5 peanuts without reacting.
Food immunotherapy is a much newer treatment, and really it's only been the last 20 years and predominantly in children where this has been studied. So we need treatments for adults as well as children, and that's why this kind of research, this area of research is very important.
Patients started on tiny amounts of peanut powder and over many months built up to 4 whole peanuts a day, something they've got to continue to do now. So that wasn't a quick fix, and it certainly wasn't a cure. It needed strict medical supervision, so not something to try at home. For Chris, it's a huge relief. He no longer has to worry about what he's eating or live in fear of dying from an allergic reaction.
I'm thankful, gratitude. because it's really changed my life. If that can now be brought more widely and impact more people's lives like it already has done, I think that's a really good thing.
Philippa Roxby, BBC News.
Coming up, a shared kidney leads to a new friendship and an app to identify the early signs of ALS. Welcome back. More and more young people are tearing their ACLs, but there's an innovative procedure now approved for use on the youngest patients. Dr. Malika Marshall explains why this could become the surgery of choice for student athletes of all ages.
At 16, during a Final Four football game, Johnny Sullivan went in for a tackle.
My knee kind of bent and I just felt the pop.
That pop came from the anterior cruciate ligament in his knee. The star athlete had torn his ACL. To repair an ACL, surgeons typically borrow tissue from another part of the body, like a hamstring or quadriceps tendon, to reconstruct the ligament. Traditional ACL reconstructions can be quite painful. They have a relatively high failure rate, and student athletes can't always return to the same level of performance. The bridge-enhanced ACL restoration, or BARE procedure, has become a more attractive option for some. The ligament is repaired, and then this collagen implant that looks like a marshmallow, bathed in the patient's own blood, is inserted into the knee to help the ligament heal.
We get this blood clot, then we get the body that creates the healing response, and then you get a healed ACL, which is really amazing because now we're keeping your own nerves, your own blood vessels.
Massachusetts-based orthopedic surgeon Dr. Scott Sigman has performed more BARE procedures than almost anyone in the world. The surgery was FDA approved in 2020 for people 14 and older, but now it's available to school-age kids as young as 7 and 8 who are increasingly injuring their ACLs.
We have these really cool new anchors that are not made out of metal, so literally we don't have to touch the growth plates. In the past, if you injured a growth plate, the leg could actually grow wrong.
15 months post-BARE, Johnny says his knee is not only restored to the way it was, it may even be better. So would you say that you're back to being one of the top players on your basketball and football teams?
Yeah, I would say so, yeah.
And back to dreaming about playing at the college level. Dr. Malika Marshall, CBS News, North Chelmsford, Massachusetts.
There's a new mobile app designed to help catch the debilitating disease ALS before even doctors might notice the warning signs. Itai Hod explains.
These days, it's the little things Mindy Erlab appreciates the most.
I wish I didn't have to think about this, but at the same time, I try not to let it consume my life.
That is why, every week, she logs on and reads a few lines into an app trained to catch the faintest slur or shift in her speech.
A woman signed a sales contract for construction of a new brick home.
Erlab lost her mother to ALS.
Say pataka over and over.
And even though she doesn't have the disease, she carries the gene.
Pataka, 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 pataka.
For now, this app, called Everything ALS, is helping her stay one step ahead.
You've been doing a good job.
The technology behind it was created by Indu Navar, a former high-tech executive who turned grief into purpose after losing her husband Peter to ALS. They searched for a diagnosis for 2 years.
That's the time you're supposed to be doing something.
Every 90 minutes, someone in the U.S. is diagnosed with ALS. But getting that diagnosis can take months, even years. By then, there's little doctors can do. So Navar turned to AI, creating an app that tracks speech, walking, and motor skills, spotting changes long before most humans can. By letting patients participate from home, Everything ALS not only makes clinical trials more accessible, it's giving researchers a data set that's bigger, faster, and more diverse. As for Erlab, taking back a little control has given her something else.
I enjoy every day of my life. I don't stay up at night worrying about stuff.
A way to write her own story. Itai Hod, CBS News.
A rare medical condition meant one woman needed to get rid of an otherwise healthy kidney. But for someone else, it was the gift they'd been waiting for. Stephanie Stahl was there as an unusual kidney donor and recipient met for the first time.
It's so nice to meet you.
Strangers with a special connection meeting for the first time at Temple Hospital.
So awesome. I don't even know what to say.
17-year-old Evelyn Bautista in white now has one of Megan Bosak's kidneys.
I feel good. I feel great.
Really? So her kidney's doing okay?
Yeah.
21-year-old Megan had something called nutcracker syndrome, compression of a vein to the kidney that disrupts blood flow and causes pain. The New York paralegal came to Temple, where Dr. Kenneth Chavin is renowned for treating the condition. For Megan, removing one of her 2 kidneys cured her.
I just thought, I have a perfectly healthy kidney. I could give someone else a completely new chance at life.
Megan is called an altruistic donor, not knowing where her donated kidney would go.
They're able to have that miracle of donating and transforming someone's life.
Doctors say kidney donors are carefully screened and selected and then can go on to live healthy, normal lives.
I feel much better.
And so does Evelyn, a high school senior with congenital kidney failure who'd been living on dialysis until the transplant April 7th.
I'm gonna cry now, but I'm trying to put it back. She gave me an opportunity of life. Like, it means a lot to me.
They brought gifts for each other, discovering another connection.
I don't know how you knew, but these are my favorite chocolate. They're my favorite too.
Their new motto now on a pillow that says, "Girls with one kidney have more fun." So you're going to be new best friends?
Yes, of course.
Stephanie Stahl, CBS News.
After the break, a look at the Trump administration's cuts to public health programs and the power of making music for these students with disabilities. Welcome back. The Trump administration's cuts to the nation's health agencies are having a trickle-down effect, according to some health experts, who warned they are hindering the abilities of state and local health departments. We asked CBS News medical contributor Dr. Celine Gounder about the widespread repercussions. So, Dr. Gounder, let's talk about these cuts that are happening in Washington. Thousands of jobs have disappeared from the FDA. HHS is talking about eliminating some departments entirely. Is this trickling down to state and local health departments too?
We are seeing impacts at the local level already. So, for example, Milwaukee, they're in the middle of a lead crisis in their public schools. They had requested help from the CDC. Secretary Kennedy said, "Oh no, don't worry, the lead unit has not been canceled. They're going to get the help they need." Well, guess what? Those people are still being let go and have not been able to help with that crisis. Another example of this in Texas, we know there's been a measles outbreak in West Texas. Some of the staff that would normally be deployed to help do the outreach, to do the testing, to set up vaccination clinics, those staff that would normally be deployed by the CDC, a lot of those folks just aren't on the payroll anymore or are on administrative leave. And so the kind of response CDC normally provides to help support state and local health departments who really have skeleton crews on the job, that support has disappeared or is disappearing.
The message from Washington in a lot of cases is give control back to the states. Does that create problems when there isn't uniformity across the country in terms of treating disease?
Well, one of the things people don't understand is these federal agencies function as funnels for funding. And so that funding goes to the state and local health departments in order for them to do what they want to do. And yes, there's a lot of local control in that. But if you take away the funding, what are they supposed to do? And again, they don't have the same kind of expertise. Using the lead example, do you want lead experts at every state and local health department? Is that efficient? Or is it just better to have a rapid response team that's at the CDC that can be sent as things happen? I don't think what we're doing now is actually going to make things more efficient.
Can you explain for people the difference between their own doctor and public health doctors? And why should they worry about cuts that are happening to public health doctors in Washington or in their own community?
Yeah, so healthcare is different, and I think people often confuse healthcare and public health. So healthcare is when you go see your doctor in the clinic, in the hospital. Public health are the folks who are out in the field, so they are the ones doing food safety inspections. So this is why you are not getting sick from hepatitis or staph by eating at your local restaurant. They're the ones who inspect, say, schools for lead paint, or if you have lead pipes contaminating the water like we did in Flint, Michigan. They're the ones that would respond to that. You have a big outbreak of TB in a community. They're the ones that will go to the people who've been exposed, make sure they get tested, make sure they get treated. So these are different roles that they have, but they impact, the results of that work impact all of us.
Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has laid out an ambitious goal of identifying a cause of autism sometime later this year. Is that realistic, and is there any harm to setting a goal that's ambitious?
Well, it's setting the bar too high. I think some people will be really tragically disappointed that there is not an answer by then. The only way to have an answer to what causes autism by later this year is to make one up. And this also shows a real misunderstanding of how time and labor intensive really doing science is, when you want to have the different layers of vetting, making sure you're funding the right people to do the right studies. And so we will be lucky if the researchers who are going to be doing this autism research are identified by the fall and given grants by the fall. Like, if we can get there, that would actually be a huge accomplishment.
All right, Dr. Celine Gounder, thank you. After-school activities like band or orchestra make for well-rounded students, but it can be challenging for children with special needs to find and participate in programs. Christian Benavides looks at one nonprofit in Miami helping all kids hit the right notes.
You are. The lessons being taught inside this Florida classroom are more than just about musical instruments. For this group of special needs students, including 15-year-old Zeha Navari, it's a much-needed outlet.
It's really nice, helps me calm down a bit. Whenever I feel a little anxious or a little sad, I play the guitar to cheer me up.
Avari's mother, Dr. Diana Anita, is a board-certified psychiatrist who's seen the impact the lessons have had on her son.
It's hard to put into words when you see your kid grow and blossom like this. And this road can be a very lonely road. And having schools like this, communities like this, has really been very touching.
Matthew Villa is the founder of Harmony Hugs, a nonprofit dedicated to teaching special needs students how to play music.
I walk in here and I take on the teacher title. I'm Mr. Matthew to them, right? But in reality, they are teaching me. They teach me to look at the world for the positive that it is, for the good that it is.
Villa started providing lessons at just one school back in 2023 and has since expanded
2 times.
Pretty remarkable, given that Villa is only 16 and still a junior in high school.
We're at 7 locations so far. My goal is 15 locations by the time I graduate high school.
To connect with someone your own age and who speaks your language, who's just taken the time out of their day to be here is miraculous in many ways.
Many of the kids who take these lessons like to showcase their talents outside the classroom.
As a mom, it's hard not to tear up when you see something like that.
You're gonna put it here.
Lessons that can bring harmony in both music and life. Christian Benavides, CBS News, Miami.
Sweet music. That's Eye on Health for this week. I'm Bradley Blackburn. Thanks for joining us, and be well.